Hello, world, and welcome back to Creating Life with Kelsey. I have another guest today, Danielle B, and we met through somatic activated healing. We are both somatic activated healing practitioners. They were in cohort one, I was in cohort two. I don't quite know how we continued to connect from there, but we did, and now here we are. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what else you do.
We continue to connect. I'm going to just gas you up for a second. We continue to
Okay.
connect because I saw you arriving to your practice like so consistently on Saw's platform when I was teaching on it. I just had name recognition. I was like, "Oh yeah, this person's serious. This person is someone who is ready to walk the walk." And here we are. Of course we are. Of course we're still walking together.
We are, and it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, truly, truly.
And what else do you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself or who you are today, I guess.
Who I am today. I'm a daughter. I am adopted. I uh, have lived through many mental health diagnoses and can name that I'm thriving on the other side of them. I now, after many years, have have found the path of truly being able to skillfully guide others in transmuting their lives as well, in achieving the wellness that they're looking for. We are not just one thing. We are not the labels that we have been uh, given from the powers that be um, to contain us for the rest of our lives. We are active players in that life. And I embody that daily.
Mm. I definitely want you, before I fully dive in, to speak more onto the label part and the physical capability components of how you that's really for you and your medicine and what you bring to the world in that sense of not being bound by that.
Yeah, yeah. One of the first things that I unraveled on my self-healing journey, I reached a point where I was like, I have to have some answers because what was what had started as, you know, mental wellness concerns was starting to land in my body, was starting to be physically symptomatic. So I needed to dive deeper. It wasn't okay with me the amount of um, disability that was showing up. So one of the first things that I came to reconcile in the foundational works of Dr. Bessel van der Kolk and Dr. Nicola Pera was just how limiting these labels are. These diagnostic labels that were created by a white Western male centric model. And I was living in that container of bipolar disorder from childhood. That is who you are. That is you were going to have to manage this with medication for the rest of your life. Um, and as a child, really hooking onto that was fear of self. I'm afraid of myself. These extreme things can happen and they just happen. It's just part of me and I just have to be wary and fearful and um, not do too much, not shake the foundation too much because then there's mania and psychosis. So I lived with that fear for a long time, and it was only discovering these works and then, of course, that is just the beginning of the onion of the opening of this is, we have so this this framework, this white Western framework, the DSM, however many there are now, five.
There's
I
five,
can there be zero?
right?
Like that that framework just limiting and boxing. Like, can we see that as trauma, as environmental? Can we see the symptoms and not just slap a label on top of it and be like, that's that? Can we break it down? Can we see what's underneath it? Because 20 years later, do I need to be afraid
And
to?
has that label literally never shifted in 20 years? You're telling me it
Correct.
would not have shifted at all.
Right, right. One of the wisest things, one of my, I've had very many medical professionals all along, all good, bad, and different. One of the wisest things when I was thinking about conceiving was my psychiatrist at the time said, your body and your person is completely different than it was 8 years ago. Like these deeply held fears, do they really have a texture of reality anymore? And that clocked me good, because how long am I going to hold the fear of what if when it's not present? When it's not present, can I build that self trust? And I have, to observe myself more clearly. Can I see these symptoms as something to clue me in, rather than let's just medicate, let's just, and this is not to say medication doesn't have its place. I absolutely need a medication for stability, but do we need them for the rest of our lives? It's a safety net, not a life sentence, in a case like mine. So it really opened up everything to see things more holistically, more wholly, more full body, and with agency, with a capital A.
Hmm. And seven is a regenerative number. So even in
Yes.
epigenetics, showing that our body is completely new cells, everything. So then the fact that your psychologist said 8 years later, it's like everything, you're so different now.
I was so different. My life was so different. And yet that fear was the framework with which I lived my life. I was afraid to exercise. I was afraid to do too much because, of course, the mania is, and the psychosis that I have experienced is the most extreme version of it. And I don't want to get anywhere close to feeling happy. Feeling happy is what it comes down to. My mom
Yeah.
for years had to be like, it's okay to feel happy. And it's such a sad sentence to have to come forward, because that is the ultimate fear, right? I feel good. Now I'm scared because it could turn.
Hmm. For female bodies, that turns into that fear and the continuation of the label of hysteria.
Yes, good God. Like the way my body kind of like goes, when I hear certain words like hysteria.
Yeah.
Like those memes aren't, like, yes, I find memes funny, but the ones that are like, if you weren't going to be burned at the stake like centuries ago, are you even living your life? And the truth is, yes, I probably would have. Yes, I would be in an asylum. Yes, I would have electroshock therapy and other iterations of how these things were addressed and handled and sequestered and misunderstood. It's 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 wild to consider, when all I needed was attunement, when all I needed was safety, when all I needed was, not abuse.
Yeah. Unconditional love, acceptance, nurturing.
Just those basics. Like maybe there wouldn't be an extreme response. Like, of course there was an extreme response. Can we look back at where the reaction came from?
Yeah,
It
why did it
wasn't
have to
just,
get to that point?
of course, there are certain biological circumstances that predispose me to that expression, but I see my environment then as being such a strong factor.
Hmm. Well, to carry along with this, the lovely first opening question, what does soul liberation mean to you?
I mean, the sassy answer that just wants to come out is to fuck around and find out. Like,
Mm.
can we examine all of the truths and all of the conditioning and all of the societal norms that we have been handed and just supposed to go along with? Soul liberation is, my whole body is lighting up to like, to even just, because I do feel liberated. I do feel far enough along that it's like, yes, I am that soul liberation is unraveling what is not you and fully embracing what is.
And that can take time. It does take time and
I am
patience.
still doing it. I
Yeah.
can say I am that, and I can also be like on a certain day, I am, lateral in my bed. Like that is also soul liberation. It
I
is
make the
an
joke of
exhausting
I've been
journey.
liberated for a whole 30 minutes,
Nice, nice. Yes.
but then we just keep arriving.
Yes. Yes. Each time we alive. Each time we arrive, we are liberated. Each time we have the texture of the present moment, we are here. We are free. We have choice. We have wellness.
And it is a choice. To liberate the self is a choice. To keep arriving is the choice.
Yes. And once, like to me, once you reach a certain level of awareness, there is no other choice. You
Yes.
already know you can't. You can have that feeling of like, I wish I was still ignorant, but ultimately, what we have access to experience, the mysteries that unfold to us are so delicious that you wouldn't, even though it's like, man, I wish I could just, you, you still wouldn't choose it, not after
No.
everything you've seen and witnessed.
There is a point because it happened for me. I see it in my clients and my students. You're the veil's lifted. You're choosing it, but it's not like you said, we haven't hit the no other option yet. So there is this 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's beyond the non-linear slips and ups and downs of life. Like it's a choosing, not choosing, back and forth type of thing. But then there comes a point when you're in that space long enough, the awareness, the embodiment increases enough to where then comes the choice that there is no other option. And there, I mean, choose how you want to perceive that of the blessing or the quote unquote curse, a blessing and a curse. Yeah,
Always a blessing.
for
I
sure.
always coming back to the blessing, because what would life have been without this?
Hmm.
My goodness. My goodness.
Well,
There's
with that, what brought you onto this path of helping others and guiding others within their healing journey? And what are you loving about what you're doing now?
so obviously I've kind of brushed on a history of mental health concerns. Even when I was not skillful, I was still speaking up, knowing that
Mm.
that is how shame dies. That is how we heal together. Um, you know, I not having any background or any like certification or anything like that, I was still making a Facebook group and supporting all my friends and like holding containers and doing that kind of thing. That is, there has always been a part of me that's like, I've experienced so much. And then what can be created on the other side of that? And of course, at 16, you have so much more life to live before you're able to really, really walk that. But once I reached a certain level of, oh shit, level of knowledge, like this has changed the game of how I live my life, that conception where that labels break off. And it's like you have agency and control, actually. You don't have to be as fearful as you have been conditioned to feel. That was the point at which, that point at which, like, it was more like chaotic at that time because I was just starting my healing journey, but I was so fucking lit up about what I was discovering and what I was learning, and I was already feeling such relief. There was no other option but to share it. How could I not speak it? How could I not at least try? And then the skillfulness comes with more study, with deep 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 practice, with certifications like the one that we share. um, and then it has just built from there. I ended up pivoting away from my first career, which was also in service but of animals at the time.
Mm.
So it naturally unfolded with like, no, we got stuck. Like, there is liberation here. We please come along with me if you're ready.
And what are you loving about what you're doing right now with this work?
Ah, it is. I am in the I am in the how can I the tension of the digital versus the physical, whether it's serving online, which I do, and in person, which I do. But it is becoming so much clearer how needed our physical connection is with each other, how we must undo the isolation that has come both societally and, just it is, whether insidious or just, the way things unfold. We must gather, we must have conversations, we must heal in person. Those those very ancestral rooted feelings of, we got to dance in a circle, we got to hold space for each other, we got to hold hands, we got to, like, remembering who we are as humans, as the digital world, as technology gets wilder and wilder. I have a, a fire to remind and to ground in what makes us human. What are we here to do? What do we as a species need from each other, and how can we return to it?
I feel that exact pull and tension and this dance of being in both, of being in both
Yes.
worlds, in the online space and the physical space, because yeah, I don't think we were only meant to be online when it comes to this type of work. Like, we were strategically placed physically in the world where we're at for a reason, for community also. So if you think that the people around aren't just gonna get it, or aren't wanting to come to you, then you may need to like remove some egoic concepts there.
Oh, yes. I'm just still baby stepping into my local community, and it's small and the population is older. So there's different ways to serve it. Um, but I have absolutely met people who are like, oh, wow, about this work. And from your own path, like when you meet that person that's like, that totally gets it, you're like, this is why I'm showing up. This is why I'm dancing by myself. This is why I'm calling it in. It's because just one person, just one person. Each next person matters so much.
I like that phrase, each next person. Because each time we arrive and we show up as practitioners, there doesn't have to be this pressure and expectation to hold so many people at once. What if it is just each next person? We help them as long as we're meant to help them, and then comes the next.
You, like, you're in a garden, like,
Yeah.
next, next, next. Plant the seed, plant the seed, plant the seed, and
Hmm.
just trust that it will flourish as it's meant.
Hmm. Yeah. So you've been in the midst of an entire life chapter, an identity shift, the past couple years, honestly. So what would you like to share about that process and the grief that comes with endings and choosing liberation?
It's only on the other side of relationships falling away, and by, let me not be poetic about it, I chose to end two relationships. um it's only on the other side of that, with perspective, that I realize how unfree I was in my circumstances. I had the juxtaposition of finding this work and needing it so much. This work meaning embodiment work, through somatic activated healing. um, and there was so much self-isolation, which is common in like dark nights of the soul, or like spiritual transformation. You hear these things commonly with similar language. And I had no idea. Like, I was just doing my thing. I was just arriving to the present moment. I was just, feeling so good. But I had no idea, as I'm dancing, as I'm liberating, as I'm growing, as I'm increasing capacity, awareness, clarity, I had no idea how constricted I was, how contained I was, because on one hand, it can look so well supported and privileged, and I have the access and the time to do this. but then on the other side being like, oh shit, I was literally like dancing myself out of a cage. Like
Mm.
the way it was so isolating, and like it, that was purposeful. It was survival, like literally dancing in a cage until I have the strength enough to bust out. And it it's a wild experience to hold that, because this work can make you feel so free, and it's like, how can I be unfree? How can there be a cage? But to turn around, like, I have chills, like to turn around and then be like, oh shit, oh shit, how contained was I? How small was I? Like, my body of work, bless it, it will still serve you, like, if you're called to work, to seek me out. But it was in such a frame, like, not free.
Mm.
Not free, surviving, like deep survival mode, arriving from deep constriction. And honoring that and being like, oh sweet Danielle, like, wow. But also the other side of it, to be like, hey, wow, you fucking badass, that's you constrained, let's fucking
Bet.
go. Yes,
I
truly.
relate to that so much as the metaphor of dancing in the cage, and I think that's something to really uplift of what you're saying there is that's going to be the reality of the situation when you start the liberated path because you're in this perceived cage, the cage you created, cage that's here through systemic oppression of whatever body that you're existing in. There is a cage to some degree with every human that lives on Earth. So, whatever the cage actually is, you're gonna have to get comfy of dancing in it first. Liberation doesn't come once you're out of the cage.
Oh
Liberation
no.
comes when you're in it, then you decide to bust out of it.
Yes, what a beautiful reflection. Like of course this is my experience, and I'm like, oh shit, this is my experience, but you're absolutely right. That is, we are all we are all tethered. We are all in the cage of our creation, either known or unknown. So we wake up in the circumstances we're in, and then it's, what do we do with that?
Again, comes back to the choice. What do you do with that? There are some
Right.
things that you cannot control, but still, what do you do with that?
Yeah. Do I want to live in comfort? Do I want to be comfortable? Do I want comfort? Do I want comfort for the rest of my life, and love, and an okay experience? I said
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
I said no to that. I said yes to discomfort. Absolutely.
Yeah. And with the comfort, it can be even if you have a perceivably good life. Because when I got to a point of certain layers of liberation and I was existing and good, and I was like, did I come here to live a good life or to live a great life?
Hell yeah. That's the ask.
Hmm.
Because if I try to hold on to something that isn't fully aligned, I can feel that texture now. It ain't
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
It ain't it, and it's self-betrayal.
Hmm.
So you can belabor that morning, that decision, that knowing, which I did, but ultimately, once you commit to this, there's no going back. So you will free fall knowing that you've got you, and that it will work out.
That's also the moments too of there's no other option because when you feel the texture of this ain't it, like the situation, the experience, the person could not be flaming red flags anymore, but still something in your body is knowing, but this isn't it. This isn't a full yes for me or for my full growth and expansion. And that's also, there's no other option because when you feel that, when you can feel the nuance of those certain type of decisions, yeah, there's no going back once you know that stuff.
It's so cool. There's a moth like on my window, like a winged creature is like, hey, are you talking about freedom?
Hey, what you guys chatting about? Let me support you.
It's fluttering here, making sure I have its attention.
Yeah. Can you expand more on the grief of that, of the grief of the endings when you're choosing liberation?
It is so difficult. It is everything you've ever known. like one of the relationships was was okay. It was good. It was wholesome. It was, I just to highlight the parts that are good enough. Like there are people who could be like, what, why would you do that? Like, so there is mourning that. There's more. It's mourning each version of yourself that you thought you were going to live,
Mhm.
each version of yourself that you no longer are. The like, kind of like the track hopping, if you think about trains as a metaphor, like you're just like, I'm going on this path and now I'm over here and now I'm over here and now I'm over, like, where the hell am I am off the, like, the train is still going but there are not rails.
Mm.
It is mourning each destination you thought you were going to arrive to sequentially, and allowing it and not getting stuck in it, holding how incredibly sad it is that you won't have the things you thought you were going to have, but knowing evidentially from other things you've experienced on the path, how good can it get? Show me how it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to miracles. I'm just throwing out mantras that you already
Mantras,
well
yeah.
know, and holding
Without
to that.
chasing this, it has to be better. It has to be that because that's different.
Shit comes in when you are not asking for it.
Yeah.
You are not even looking for it. And that's when it arrives. And it is startling as hell because you've just opened up. You're open. Um, in terms of manifestation, like if we want to go to like that squishy word, I don't jam with that. I just arrive with
Right.
openness.
Yeah.
I clear the way for what is already here. So it is wild to see it all work. It is wild to see the synchronicities land. I was so fucking held when I made one of the hardest choices of my life, like to get very woo about it. And I tend to be very grounded. Obviously, I'm talking about a lot of rootedness, a lot of stability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Down, the psych wise, and like just very rooted. Taurus here. So, but there was no mistaking the amount of synchronicities, the amount of flow, the amount of feeling held in on the other side of the fear, on the other side of the very difficult choice. And how beautiful the life I'm living now. It was here. It was just waiting. Like what? Like
Mm.
I can't. It's I am still mourning aspects of the life that I will not lead anymore. But when I can be awake and aware to the life that is here, that is open, that is anything is possible. These are things. These are these experiences are uncommon. Not everyone gets to feel this free. So it's holding all of it so that you can arrive to this and see it. Because I could arrive to this so differently. I could be stuck in it. I could be in the past. I could be desolate. I could so many other ways to arrive to the circumstances in front of you. But this work opens up your capacity to hold all of it. I can be deeply grieving and I can be like, oh shit, my life is a dream,
Mm-hmm.
a dream that I walked towards
That
each
you co-created.
difficult step. Yes, yes,
And that's liberation.
truly, to keep trusting.
And how have you been using the somatic work to hold you in this and in this liminal space? So I love that you're bringing in the train metaphor because if we jump tracks or switch tracks, there is that blip in time. It does may not feel like a blip in time to our human brains, but it's a blip in time of the in between in that liminal space. So how has somatic work been of support? How have you been using it in between the one door opening and another one, or one door closing, one door opening.
Yeah, just to get really personal and practical, like sometimes we have these conversations and it's like, yeah, practicing embodiment, da da da. What it looks like is this morning, I'm going to record a podcast with my dear friend Kelsey, and that's scary. I'm going to let myself speak where I have been felt so small and contained and controlled and manipulated. It is safe for me to speak. So I have to really land that in my body so that I can arrive and not have that fear come in. I can just free flow with you. So it looks like laying outside on the ground, being held, feeling the sun, communing. It looks like having an altar, lighting a candle, saying my manifesto, affirming to myself why I arrive on this path, who I'm doing it for, because it's for all of us. And then it's embodying it. It is charging the energy. It is trust. It is, and then it's here. It's here. I sit in this chair and I'm talking to you.
Mhm.
As many as often as I can arrive to what is, as often as I can hold my experience, not languishing in it, but holding it, being with it, letting it move through me. That is freedom. That is the liberation to arrive unencumbered. I feel very free right now to arrive unencumbered by all the things that end up piling on your shoulders that you carry throughout the day that you don't realize. The thoughts are just kind of like, oh God. We shake them out as often as we can, as skillfully as we can with the tools available to us at the time. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Certainly not.
What
There
about
are,
the moments when it's not and it's dark and it's heavy?
yeah, yeah. Can I let them be here too? Can I say, okay, this is here and this is thick and I don't like it, but I have to let it. I have to let it be here too. That metaphor of inviting in that feeling. Because the more we resist it, the longer it stays. If I'm like, I don't want this, I don't want this experience, I don't want to be laying in bed all day. Well, aren't you just in frustration with what is? Like, that's the whole path, friend. Can you just, settle in for a minute and soften so that maybe this doesn't last the whole day, so that maybe you can shift and make the next best choice. It is all the path, that conscious awareness.
I think that being and letting it be is oftentimes the most difficult part for people. The doing the somatic work and doing and being in the classes and doing the practices, we're like, oh yeah, let me do that and be with the feeling in that way. But when we are just in it, not trying to change the muckiness, not trying to change the resistance, we just are still with it. That is oftentimes, I mean, it has been difficult for me, and again, I see it in others.
Yeah, because we have tools now, so we can just
Yeah,
like shake it out and get rid of it, right?
right.
We can just
You've missed the plot if you just shake it out to quote unquote get rid of it.
yeah, because that's not how it works. It needs to be attended to. It needs to be
Yes.
held. Just like it's holding yourself. Can
Hmm.
you hold yourself? Can you be with it to your, capacity at the time? And some days, no, you cannot be with it. And that's the path too. Allowing that, like, this is too much today and I need to just not.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's the titration,
Yes.
giving yourself grace on what is actually maintainable, because then that's what makes it sustainable. If we're just, then yeah, we just create more resistance when we're not accepting the ebbs and flows.
Yes. I can feel like 3 months. This is months 3.5 of being in a completely different life, in a completely different place. And I can feel like, why it still feels so liminal. And it's like 3.5 months is not that long, friend.
No.
Like there's so much of this. There's so much of like, oh, it's the next level of grief. Oh, this next thing is here. Why do I feel like nothing's real? Like,
Especially when
can
you lived with one partner nearly 20 years.
my whole adult life I was
Yeah.
partnered. Yes.
So yeah, no
Yes.
wonder these
18
three and a
months.
half months, you're like, what?
Like, oh, I am alone.
Yeah.
Alone.
You're like, for real.
There is no one here. But even so, there are ways in which I do have community and I am held. I'm not fully alone. Like that aloneness is real, but there are beautiful ways, like I said, that things fell into place, that I'm not isolated.
Mhm.
I'm I'm more in community now alone than I was surrounded by people who I thought were there for me.
Mhm. Can you share with us the throat chakra healing that has been taking place for you now when it comes to healing from abuse?
Yes, oh my gosh. So it's and it take the abuse out of it. We're talking about someone who was raised, uh, a cis woman, right? So we it is deeply embedded and ancestral that we, to stay safe, we just go along with things. We don't speak up. There are authority figures more knowledgeable than us about ourselves, so we just go along with that. So honestly, if if I want to go like all the way back to like the first self-healing things, it's tuning into that in your own wisdom that people can't tell you about you, that speaking up like this doesn't feel right. Maybe not one to one to a doctor or, at the time, but it's just knowing that, they're not the authority. So the first time I really felt that activation, and I believe you witnessed me too, like the first time I held a heart talk and I felt so compelled to speak was because when maybe like the first time I took a hard stance on how I felt about something, the next day, my body, the relief, the bodily relief that I felt, that I stood up for myself, that I took a strong stance, because this path is all things, right? I'm learning Buddhism and spirituality alongside of all of these constraints. And of course, that's just accepting and allowing and just going with the flow, right? So it kind of like makes it worse before it gets better, because you're just like, namaste. So, um, so I had such felt wellness the first time I actually said no in so many words. And that was such a significant turning point, to know that I had to start speaking up for myself. Like there is no mistaking the amount of wellness, energy, infusion. Like I live in a dynamically disabled body. I still negotiate these things, even though I've had such improvement, right? But to feel well, to feel vital, to feel like I am unencumbered. And of course, it doesn't stay, and I knew it wouldn't. And I accepted that while I was experiencing it. But I was just so excited that it was possible. And all I had to do was speak up for myself. Fuck, let's stretch that muscle. Let's stretch that. Let's stretch that. So I did. And then the next layer was realizing there was manipulation and control and abuse occurring. That makes you even smaller. That makes it like like, and of course, as I'm getting better, it's no mistake that it's getting worse.
Mhm.
Like for whatever reasons, bless the parties, like, so to ultimately choose myself, to ultimately say no, as best I can. It's the way we must when we have enough safety. Like, obviously, I'm talking about very extreme circumstances where there was not always safety to speak. I had to discern the moments. I had to navigate the right timing. I had to discover what was so, but ultimately I had to act or I would have lost myself completely. There was a moment where I realized, like, different, it is hard to rise my anger, but my anger rose, that injustice, that violation, that no, that no was stifled so much here verbally. We got that fire in the belly, like we are waking up angry, and I never do. So all this combining for that self-actualization, that this is this is how I feel, this is what is going on. It doesn't have to be loud, it just has to happen in your
Mm-hmm.
own right time,
Mm-hmm.
or you will stay stagnant, you will stay stuck, and it can get so much worse.
Stagnation grows so fast and continuing to make everything else toxic within our own system.
Oh yes, oh yes. I'm still stuck in that, sometimes that hypervigilance, in that I don't want to interact with people, like people can feel unsafe. I still see that coming up, that startle, just whatever fear is here, but slowly coming into and landing into safety, in the letting go, putting the weapons down, knowing that I am truly safe as I am, grounding outside, affirming my manifesto, embodying trust. That is what is so. That is what is here now.
And the throat chakra and using that and saying no is unwinding, unraveling the thousands of years of people pleasing.
My
But we
gosh.
had to do it for survival. So now it's the flip, right? Of we get to say no now in our personal lives. That's not true all over the place. But when we have the privilege to say no now and still be alive, to use your language, we
Yes.
must.
We have the extreme privilege of arriving at a time where we can be safe in saying no, and we're not dead. So here we are living
Yeah.
fully.
And it's scary, but also so alive.
It is terrifying. Like, I have tried this out in partnership before. I remember the first time I tried to be like, this hurts me. Like, this is before, the exuberance I felt. Like, it was the very first time, and it feels like I'm going to die. Like that, like there is so much threat if you voice any kind of dissonance, if you voice any kind of like, actually, this would be better. Like, I and it's been reflected back to me that sometimes when I speak, I'm not clear. It's because I'm afraid to be clear. I'm trying to say what I need to say in the gentlest way possible, that you will not reject me or abandon me. Let's talk about core wounds, of course, those are mine. Like, like, so um yes, just a wild, wild unfold. And all of this is incrementally built on itself, day after day. That self-trust, that arrival, that pattern, that habit. No one wakes up free. I didn't wake up free. I thought I was free. I wasn't. I'm still not free. We're, may we receive those blessings in this lifetime.
30 minutes.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We are free for this podcast, and then we
Yes.
will.
And we go back to being human and we arrive again. It just it keep
Yes.
it's everything else, right? It comes and it goes, it visits and it leaves.
Yes. Life is water.
Mhm. Can you share with us how your body has been responding with finally being in a safe environment? You already kind of talked about the hypervigilant states of, yeah, what have you been noticing now that actual safety in the external environment is here?
It takes a lot of reassurance. Um, it takes a lot of just like pulling back to the present moment, to not land in that kind of space again, because of course my body is still adjusting. Like, do I have a felt sense of safety? Can I tap into that? Yes, I can. Obviously, I mentioned a window. It's here. I live on a 10-acre farm. It's beautiful. There is freedom everywhere, reminding me just how safe I am, just how grounded I am, just how connected I am. Um, that I am that. This land is absolutely meant for me and has been one of the biggest blessings in really landing in that safety, to just lay your body against the ground and be held when there's, you don't necessarily have people around you who are able to do that or can do that. I can be so fucking held in my experience and the connectedness of what is here.
And what changes or symptoms have you noticed may have arisen now that there's space for them to be felt?
It's always the ebb and flow, right? So I'm increasing capacity for grief.
Hmm.
So I like grief, I didn't even know I was going to be feeling, you know, like, so it's that continual dance. It's like, oh, you have opened up. Okay, well, here's more. Almost like breath, right?
Mm.
Like, just you open up and then it's like, oh, the contraction. And then we feel it through. Like, my body's has chills again to have this metaphor of this openness. And one of the most beautiful things that came through my practice recently is I try to be aware of the movements that come through, because the dance is always different. It's like, what's alive in my body? What am I moving through? And on the other side of this, there's been so much clawing at my chest. There's been so much ripping, like damage, violent, like just pain, right? And then I was practicing with some other beautiful sossals. Our local AZ practitioners get together, Arizona practitioners get together. Yeah. And this song, the chord of this song just was so beautiful to me. And the dance, it becomes more gentle. It's healing now. I envision flowers out of the decay, growth from where there was such pain. It's indescribable. But to have that come through, there's little words for how magic this these things can feel as they as you just keep arriving to them. It's just spontaneous movement that comes through, and you're like, oh shit, oh shit. The realizations, the healing, the knowing.
On our last call, you said this statement of experiencing, which we kind of touched so far on the podcast, but just to do it again, of being liberated and still chained behind closed doors. And then you pose the question even to yourself when you had realized that, how unfree are we still? Can you
Yes,
dive deeper into that, or what's still here for you to share about that?
those I'm so glad you brought this up in the dance, and it's probably what reminded you too, because that came through my dance.
Mm,
Clutching my throat came through my dance.
yeah.
Feeling like I'm being pulled underwater came through, just in a knowing. What are we unwilling to perceive about our lives? What are we unwilling to look at? And it's with the privilege of time and space and devotion being the key word to that discovery, to that wellness, to that wholeness, to that collective, um, that we discover, oh, oh, there's a whole room I'm not looking in back here where the door has been shut. Maybe I didn't even realize there was a door until now.
Right.
But it's because we're opening up our awareness, we're increasing our capacity, we are healing the things that are right in front of us, the very immediate things. And then it just ends up expanding. This curriculum just keeps expanding around us, and we notice, oh, there's this over here, oh, there's this back here.
That meme, that reel of, oh, what's behind this door?
Yes, yes, yes. Can we see ourselves clearly, and when we're ready, can we take action on it? Because
And
ultimately,
not beat yourself up. And you said, can we see ourselves clearly? That couples with the question of how unfree are we still? Can you hold that without chaining yourself down again when you realize the other chains that you just noticed? Because what is that
yes,
going to do?
yes. And shame came through in during this time too.
Yeah,
While I was swimming, we have a somatic language connected to different emotions, and all of a sudden in the water, that shame is coming through, like, oh, why is this here? Like, oh my goodness, there's so much of this.
yeah.
And noticing and acknowledging and accepting, but not getting stuck in it.
That's the pivotal part because if we increase our awareness and we increase our capacity to hold, that doesn't mean to then get stuck in it and to just keep holding it. Part of the process is also letting it go.
Yeah, once you have these stark realizations, then what, dear ones? Then what do we do with it? Because you can, you know, there's only so many years you can receive the message you need and not accept it. How many times that it's so absolutely true that you will keep getting the lesson until you are like, you will keep receiving the information
And then you
until
can't be mad at anyone else but yourself if
no,
you keep receiving the same lesson. That's literally
no,
on you, babe.
there's so much of, am I willing to see my life, my behaviors, my surroundings clearly? Am I willing to see it clearly? And then am I willing to make the choices I need to make based on that new awareness?
And since choosing this path of liberation, what have you noticed happens when you stay with the momentum of it all?
Oh my gosh, it's exhilarating, it's disorienting, it is like literally everything. Like, we could do another hour with the other side of what has happened after I've opened up and trusted
That can be the
things.
IG live.
I know, right? Like, so many things coming into my field that I never expected. uh like, just there's just so much here. We have like these set ideas of what our life is like and what our path is and what is so. And there's so much more openness than that. Can you trust? Can you walk off where you can see the next footfall? Can you trust that it will land exactly where it needs to go? That you're headed in the right direction
That
with
you
aligned
you won't
action
even
with
see the next footfall, the next step.
no, no. But it is such an invitation. Like, that openness, that trust is an invitation for everything. It's an invitation. Like, I literally, the mantra, like, I have to, like, can I can I let it be good? Can I allow in the highest possible timeline for myself? Because things are unfolding and happening, and it's like, well, now I'm scared. Like, because they're out there, they're wild, they're
Yeah.
experience that I never expected. It's getting way more woo than I but of course, I've been building this capacity for it. I have touched the mystery along the way. I have, historic experiences that now I'm remembering, and I'm like, oh yeah. So it is all in its unfolding. It is all in that openness. It is all in that trust. You just have to let go and just stop grasping so much. The love you seek is not on the other side of force. It is on the other side of letting go. The
Mhm.
life you seek is on the other side of just that release, that tension, and
That's the
just
art of detachment.
yes,
Because if we're clinging, holding on, that's one of the spiritual poisons. Greed,
yes.
attachment.
Oh, I was poisoning myself so much
Yeah.
with
That
what I thought I wanted.
that just blew everything open when I learned about the three
Yes,
spiritual poisons. Of one, yes, I was already on the way of unraveling, but two, where I was still blind. Now, since I had that language of that, where I was still blind to where I was contributing to them. And that's the
I have.
momentum, though, right? Of
Yes,
when you're choosing this path, then the momentum, the awareness increases of what is still here, what's still blocking the path, and the unnecessary obstacles to just fucking get out of the way.
yes.
And then
I
it
think the
gets to
meta
be so quick.
yes, the metaphor since like January is just like a rock tumbling down a hill. Like I just got to get out of the way and let it go.
Yes.
Like just let it go. Just there's just so much unraveling and changing, and um can I let it? Can I get out of the way and let the work work?
hmm Can you let it? Can you let it be? It's already happening.
Yes, it's already here.
It's already here. It's already happening. Let it be okay.
Yeah. Can I let good things happen? Can I be happy? Can I let myself be happy and trust to bring it back around that nothing bad is going to happen?
hmm Is there anything else with us that is on your heart to share?
Curiosity is such a big factor for me because we have these fixed ideas of what life is going to be, what is the nature of the world, science, you know, all of the structures, all the things we're taught. So this unraveling is is systemic. It's everything. It's can like there is that forceful, fixed, arrogant texture to people who think they know everything, right? And the people, and this is historic, like professionally, like you can just feel that. You can just be like, but the people and the teachers and the leaders that garner the most respect, that live most openly and well, are ones that are students of life, that are experts, that others will say they're an expert in something and they will shrug it because they are just as curious and just as open to the world around them as someone young. And can we humble ourselves in that we don't know everything? Everything isn't fixed.
Yeah.
What is here, more to the seen and the unseen? What haven't I experienced yet? Can I be open to it? Can I sit with that fear, that curiosity of what comes next? What will this day hold? What will this talk be like? What is the deal with this moth that just wants to hang out during this whole
Is it still
podcast?
there?
It's been there. It fluttered once, like it came and it went, and now it's just hanging. So like afterwards, I'm
Oh
like
my
gonna be all
gosh.
like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, thank
What's
you
your
for that.
message? Do you have a message? That's so beautiful. I love that the moth has been hanging out with us.
Truly. I mean, there's birds everywhere, but it is very clearly like, pay attention to me.
Mhm. So share with us all your offerings. How are you here of service? What do you have to give the world? All of that.
I, like I mentioned earlier, am so like lit up about being in person and bringing medicine to to the community I live in. I do that. Um, So I do sound methods in person in different formats, um, in my local community. I also offer a membership that is, spoiler, going to be completely revamping around this new energy. Like I can't be offering things that I was offering in a cage, right? Like we have
Right.
places to go. We are that rock tumbling down the mountain, and my offerings need to harness that energy and that um, momentum as well. So a complete rework of the kinds of um, energetic offering that I give, which is also those group somatics, and likely going to include intention setting and thrashing, like more dynamic movement. I've spent
Mhm.
so much time creating personal safety to be able to do all of the things I've had to do in my life, to be like, it's going to be okay. Like all of that regulation stuff created so much safety. And now we need to continue with that energy. We got to thrash some shit out.
Yeah.
So, really harnessing that dynamicness, knowing that we're safe enough to move. And and of course I absolutely love one-on-ones, and it's been on my heart to speak more about that, to call in the next one-on-ones that are open, because there is such, like, these revelations, these personal stories, everything that has come through my life is possible. And with the right guidance, you like it can sound so poetic, right? Like I'm just speaking my life, but if I think about how this might be received, it's so fucking poetic. And oh my god, like, your life is poetry. You can do this
Hmm.
with the right connection, with the right practitioner, with the right container. All of these doors, all of these peripheries, you can be held in it. You can journey in the way that is, your journey. It's never going to be just the same as Kelsey or I's, but you can be held in your experience. You can create the safety. You can thrash it out. You can practice your no. So then when you're walking out in the world, whatever that looks like in the safest possible way, you have that no. We all need that no in this societal climate right now. We all must speak up. It is the charge of our lives to not be complacent. So
Hmm.
we really practice our freedom and liberation in these ways with the right guidance for the liberation of all beings, not just ourselves.
Hmm. And that is the way.
Truly.
And we'll put all that, how you can connect with Danielle, links, offerings in the show notes. And then the invitation of one-on-one work in the future, you'll have the way to just be in contact with them. And you can say, hey, that sounds cool. What would that look like? Final question. What are some ways that you create light?
The commitment to this arrival, probably what is most close to my heart in terms of being present, aware, and awake in this world, is being untextured when I do go grocery shopping, when I do interact in the world, when I am doing the day to day mundane things. That is the most important moment to interact with someone, to brush up against, to be here and not lost. That creates a light in the world.
Mhm.
We create a light in the world when we're here with each other.
Or
Can I
not feeling
cultivate?
that you're above.
Yes. Can I cultivate a life where I can say, how are you? And be able to hold it and mean it, to reciprocate, to have capacity, to make sure that each life I touch is one that benefits.
And so it is. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure, as always, to have you here and to connect and have your voice, my voice, us coming together be heard. It's necessary, it's needed. And thank you all for listening. And remember, when we see the light in ourselves, we create light in others.